Welcome back, Anthony Davis, as the Dallas Mavericks get it done on the road, taking out the Brooklyn Nets. We'll tell you how they got it done. Coming up next on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. Here we go. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Carella, and our national NBA insider, Mark Stein. We are DLLS Mavs, your favorite guys, cover your favorite team, Mark Stein, every single game night. Mavericks get it done 120-101 on the road over the Brooklyn Nets, and Anthony Davis's return after missing the last 18 games. Anthony Davis helps the Mavericks snap their 3-game road losing streak to improve to 35-37 on the season. We'll break it all down here for you over the course of the next hour as we break down how the Mavericks were able to get it done as they begin their 4-game East Coast road trip, 1-0 on the first night of a back-to-back before they take on the Knicks. Tomorrow night, gentlemen, Anthony Davis playing 26.5 minutes in tonight's game, 12 points, 6 of 9 shooting, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, a block, plus 12 in his return, Tim Cato, for the Mavericks tonight.
Yeah, I thought he looked, not 100% in terms of the impact and the effort and the conditioning and the athleticism that you're accustomed to see from him. But I thought he looked good. I thought he's a good player out there. This was a game to ease him back. It's the Brooklyn Nets. I think Dallas would have won this game without Anthony Davis, but as we can talk about Anthony Davis being back, we can talk about the decision, we can talk all about that stuff. Talked a little bit on the pregame show, but he's back, and this is the perfect game to get him back in there. I thought he looked a little bit more tentative, a little bit more careful with his body in the second half, but I thought that he was easing himself back in the first half as well. And again, after missing 18 games, you're allowed to do that. This is a great game to do that. And it will be nice to see him develop for this team, to be back on the court starting Thursday. Obviously, Mavs have a game tomorrow, but it'll be nice to see his progress as, these final weeks of the season tick away.
Yeah, he looked pretty good. It was light work, and he honestly made it look like light work. The Nets are just not very good. Cam Thomas out.
No D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, no D'Angelo Russell. Their guard play is very good even when they're healthy, and obviously without those guys, it's even worse. The Nets aren't very good, and so it makes sense if you're AD and you're trying to ease back into it, if that is the intention. It makes sense to do it against a team like this as opposed to who they got to play tomorrow. Much higher caliber team in the Knicks right across the bridge. But I guess we'll see in the coming days if, that perceived change in movement, speed, comfort, all that stuff, it looked different in the second half than it did in the first half. We'll see in the coming days if that's just because they were up 20 at that point, so it's like, why even bother pushing yourself too hard, or if it was because there was some discomfort. Obviously, if you're the Mavs, hopefully it's the former than the latter, because, if he's healthy, like if the current Mavs team with AD is certainly capable of, outracing the Suns down the stretch and getting a play-in spot. And maybe even the Kings, who after tonight might only be a half game ahead of the Mavs. This team without AD, obviously we've seen it, but my big takeaway from this game is that it's fun to watch the team win. Yes. The last time they won 2 games in a row.
Bold take.
Yeah, the last time they won 2 games in a row in succession like this was Feb 12 and 13.
Right before the All-Star break.
Yeah, they won their first game out of the All-Star break, but I don't really count that as a winning streak because that's a week and a half between games or whatever. It's been more than a month, well over a month since they've won 2 straight games that we've watched. That's sad, but also it feels really good.
Yeah, he was cruisy, I would say. It was, nothing super explosive. They did double him a fair bit, I think, to try to get the ball out of his hands. And just him being out there, it made the game. I mean, the opponent certainly helped, but it definitely made the game easier for the Mavs. I mean, you could just tell his presence does make the game way, way easier. But the way it was explained to me, when the Mavs left, and the Mavs actually, they left town Saturday. They left a day earlier than normal for a Monday game. When they left town Saturday, the thinking was most likely he was going to most likely play tomorrow night at Madison Square Garden. And then basically everybody kind of weighed in, and the way it was told to me was, look, they know he's only going to play one of the 2 games in this back-to-back to start the trip. So choose one. The decision was made that, why wait for Tuesday? Play against Brooklyn, play in this first game. He now gets, he gets a recovery day tomorrow, and they don't have to travel. They're obviously staying in the same hotel in New York, and we'll just play at Madison Square Garden tomorrow night as opposed to Barclays Center. So let's see how he responds. I'm really anxious to hear his post-game comments. Like, I really want to hear what is asked and what AD has to say. If you remember when AD made his debut on February 8th, even after sustaining that adductor strain, he still came to his locker and was very expansive in his post-game commentary. So I'm really interested to hear everything that is asked and all of his responses after this one. But assuming there are no issues and he came through it okay, take tomorrow night off. They travel to Orlando, play Thursday against the Magic, and then you get to wrap up the trip Saturday, the Chicago native playing at home.
And I think it was those doubles on the offensive end. I think that's where I saw his influence, his effect on the team, his positive effect. It wasn't a instant return to a defense that, akin to the one that we saw in Anthony Davis' first game against the Houston Rockets. It wasn't quite that. I mean, the Brooklyn Nets, even though they were very bad, and I thought their offense was very self-destructive for a lot of this game, they did score, I believe, 54 points in the paint. They shot, 21 of 26 at the rim. So it wasn't like an instant reversion. And, it's not Derek Lively out there. It's Kai Jones playing next to Anthony Davis. I think that the more effort, where we're going to see that defense come back, it is going to require a more explosive Anthony Davis. And again, we have no clue exactly what he was, it just as easily looked at that he was just taking it easy, easing his way back in. And once he looked around and saw the score, saw how Brooklyn was playing, he adjusted to the circumstances of this matchup. But that defense isn't quite there yet. It's, that defense is going to need to come back a little bit. And yeah, until the team's fully healthy, it's not going to be quite what Nico Harrison envisioned when he made this trade. But that's where Dallas is going to have to improve. And that's what's been so bad over the past weeks. And we see that even Anthony Davis coming back, that alone was not enough to flip the switch.
Anthony Davis saying in his post-game interview with Leslie McCaskill on the Mavericks television broadcast, shout out to Landon Thomas, quoting Anthony Davis here, quote, "I'm not the one to throw in the towel and sit down. I felt good enough to play. We got goals in mind, even though we are undermanned, not 100% healthy. Guys are coming back live and gaff. I want to make sure I have rhythm if we are able to get in the play-in," end quote. So those are some of the initial words from Anthony Davis from the television broadcasting, courtesy of Landon Thomas, transcribing that for us.
I have a question, actually, for the least partial of the four among us.
Huh, okay.
And that would be you, Corella.
Yeah, that would be me. I'm pointing to the back of my jersey. Yep.
How nervous were you watching tonight's festivities? Were you nervous? Was there any apprehension as you took in the show?
He was moving a little slower after a closeout early in the third, and I was thinking, oh, yikes. But I've had such a fatalistic view of this season for so long now that would just be like, oh, okay, kind of used to it. At least it kind of removes all doubt. I wouldn't say I was nervous. No. I mean, I'm dreading the first time he tweaks something, and it's the same experience as watching KP, or frankly, honestly, as watching Luka. the last couple of years. Just always worried. Just always worried that the next time he falls
sitting
down.
next to me has been bad for you. Maybe my championship warrior mentality.
No, I've always been tightly wound myself.
is getting to you.
But yeah,
Ask anyone in my life. I'm a warrior.
I joked this on the watch along, but Anthony Davis is the type of player who's going to look like he suffers 20 season-ending injuries every season.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. I forgot to do
that's
this
the
earlier.
experience. That's the Anthony Davis experience.
With the men, the Mavericks moved to 35-37 on the year, 15-21 on the road, snapping their 3-game.
Suns are getting nervous.
They tip off. They're actually in progress right now as they're taking and hosting the Milwaukee Bucks with no Damian Lillard tonight for Milwaukee. Mavericks had 7 guys in double figures. Naji Marshall, 14th 20-point game this season. He had a game-high 22 points for the Dallas Mavericks. There were 7 guys with at least 10 points in this game as well. So a lot of contributions from a lot of different guys on the night. Cam Johnson led the way for Brooklyn with 17 points.
I have a note about that. Now, this isn't going to be a trivia because it's going to be impossible. But 6 players on the Mavs tonight scored at least 12 points. The team record for guys with at least 12 points in a game is 7. All right, and that's been done a handful of times. The Mavs have had 6 guys score at least 12, including tonight's game, 176 times in franchise history, which they've been playing for 45, 46 seasons. So that averages out to about, what is that? 4 per year. Yeah. Well, including tonight's game, they have now had 6 guys score at least 12 points 12 times this season, 5 times since the trade. So despite losing, obviously, an incredible amount of star power in one guy, and then not long after that, losing Gafford, who is one of the better permanent scoring centers, non-shooting centers in the league, and then also losing Kyrie, who is a superstar in his own right. So despite losing Luka, Kyrie, and Gafford from that initial group, and Lively, who was scoring pretty well, and missing PJ for a lot of this time, and having other guys out of the lineup, including Jaden Hardy, who can get hot from time to time, and missing AD, only having him for 1 game, the Mavs have still consistently had a lot of guys scoring. 12 is kind of an arbitrary number. But since February 4th, which was that game against Philly, so not the day after the trade, but the game after the day after the trade, the Mavs have had at least 5 guys score 12 points 13 times. Like, it's a pretty egalitarian offense right now. Like, there's plenty of room and time and space for everybody to eat if you can get to the basket. And having a big man out there in Kai Jones that can dunk and, hang out in the dunker spot and attract attention or feast off guys drawing attention, but also having AD out there meant the Mavs are just more capable around the rim too. 64 points in the paint tonight, which is their most in a game since February 10th. That was the night Gafford got hurt, by the way. And before that, the previous time they had at least 64 points in the paint was way back on January 22nd against Minnesota.
Wow.
So that just gives you a little bit of an idea of what it means to have, it's almost like we've watched a team play basketball without a center for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight they had 2 on the floor for most of the game, AD and Kai Jones. It's like, oh my God, that's what it's like to have size again. I forgot
I have
all
a
about
trivia question for you.
All right.
Can we save it till the
sure? Let's
after the
save
break.
it.
Oh yeah.
Gotta take a break real quick. Before we do, quick 30 seconds. Shout out to Spencer Dinwiddie, 16-12 on the night, another double for him. My man now has 40 assists to just 5 turnovers in his last 5 games. So an 8-to-1 assist to turnover ratio for Spencer Dinwiddie. Balling
Mom, we've got Tyrese Halliburton at home.
Not quite.
For the minimum. Executive of the year.
Oh, okay. Now we're definitely taking our break. Here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. When we come back, the turning point in this game. Plus, we'll get to some Stein line trivia here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show as we'll come back here on the show. We'll be right back. But it is time to protest that property tax. If you own a home, you know what it's like. Owning a home can have its challenges. I own one, and it's that time of the year where you don't want to pay more in your property tax than what you're supposed to, and Own Well can help you do that. Owning property comes with plenty of challenges. Overpaying our property tax isn't one of them. That's where Own Well comes in. They believe that when it comes to paying property tax, you should only pay what's fair, and I believe in that myself. Own Well handles everything from start to finish, delivers top results with no upfront costs, and you only pay if you save. 86% of Onwell's customers receive a reduction with average customer savings of over $1,100. That's some serious scratch around this time of year, especially if you're looking on that going on that spring trip vacation. So remember, the deadline to protest is May 15th for most counties. Save money on your property taxes with Onwell. Sign up in less than 3 minutes and start your protest today at onwell.com/DLLS. That's OWNWELL.com/DLLS.
It was a huge W for me tonight on the Sleeper app. Thank you, Based Max Christie, for knocking down those free throws right at the end of the game. I had Cam Johnson for 15 points. He took care of that very quickly. Spencer Dinwiddie for 10. He got there very easily. And I did have to sweat it out down the stretch, but Max Christie got me there. My $5 play paid me 13 buckaroos in pure profit, because on Sleeper, the more you pick, the more you win, all the way up to 100 times your money. If you think you know ball and want to play along with me on the pregame show every single night, I give my pick of the night. I'm doing pretty well on those lately. I don't want to, pat myself on the back too hard here. But if you download Sleeper today, use promo code DLLS Mavs. You can play $5 to get $55 in free cashola to use whenever you want. Doesn't have to be on your first pick. It can be any time. When you win, you can withdraw that money right away. Sleeper is perfectly legal to play in Texas. So check out the terms and conditions and download that bad boy today.
Mavericks get the win on the first night of a back-to-back, taking out the Brooklyn Nets 120-101 to improve to 35-37 on the season. With the win, they are currently a half game ahead of the Phoenix Suns for the final play-in spot in the Western Conference. Phoenix hosting the Dame Lillard-less Milwaukee Bucks right now as we speak. If the Suns win, they will remain in 10th by virtue of holding the tiebreaker over Dallas. But Dallas gets their big man back in the middle, and Anthony Davis, 26.5 minutes, 12 points, as he played his first game in 6 weeks after missing the last 18 games with that left adductor strains. We're joined in studio live by our national NBA insider, Mark Stein, with some Stein line trivia here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
Last 9 games, how many times has the knife, Naji Marshall, cracked the 20-point plateau? Last 9 games.
10.
I'll say 6.
How about all 9?
8.
Whoa! Naji!
And in the game he missed,
I was closest.
Actually, I was.
Cato's corner was closest.
I said 9.
Oh.
He said 10.
You're right. My
Damn.
state school math rears its ugly head yet again.
It's been getting a lot of
The
us
one-
these days.
the
I
one
was
ga-
convinced I would be right.
The one game that he didn't, he had 18.
Dude,
The
Naji.
knife!
Najee been balling, man. He's been balling.
Mom,
Wow.
we've got Quentin Grimes at home.
Oh, my God.
You're doing a lot of heavy lifting tonight. You're doing a lot of
Corner
heavy lifting.
3 from Naji tonight.
Dude, he's been playing great. It's so nice to have him off the bench, too. I said that during the – did I say that during the watch-along, or
I
did I
believe
say
during
that
the
on the
watch
post
along, yes.
AD coming back means Naji comes off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have probably the big bet, like whoever you're playing against, unless you're going up against like the Nuggets or the Bucks or something, you have the best big man in that game. And then with Naji coming off the bench playing like he is, you have probably the best player off the bench too. Like, what an advantage that gives you.
And that's just simply with the return of Anthony Davis. Like the way that the roster and the rotations can change with that kind of star back on the team, it does a lot for guys to be able to be back in their natural roles and be able to play at the level that they're capable of in the positions that they're in. Dominant first quarter for the Dallas Mavericks tonight, outscoring the Nets 32-17 in that first quarter. Kai Jones, Anthony Davis getting active early on in the paint with some easy buckets. AD with a nice drop-off pass to Kai Jones for a dunk as well. Gentlemen, those two set the tone early on, and we knew with the lack of size that the Nets have and the ability to have Anthony Davis on the floor, Tim, the Mavericks are able to use arguably their biggest lineup that they've had in 6 weeks with Kai Jones and Anthony Davis at the 4 and the 5, and they were able to get active early on to really put pressure on the Nets at the paint.
Yeah, and it was just nice. It was good for Dallas to finally go into a game where they had a size advantage. There's been games where Dallas wasn't worked, just because they were so small. There's been a lot of games where they have, and they have certainly missed big men. Kai Jones has been a breath of fresh air in the past, just the past few games for that exact reason. And it wasn't that the size specifically swung this game. It's not specifically why Dallas won. Only had 11 offensive rebounds, allowed 9 to Brooklyn. So, all that stuff was about a wash. I already went through the paint defense, and that was not instantly back to the same level. But it does change the complexion of a game when you go into that game and you just know that you are not giving up, that much. You're not coming up to the other player's shoulders, because so many times Dallas has done that this season, where their heads are at, the opposing center's shoulders. They have done that so often throughout March. And it really is different. Man, we're still in March.
That's right.
It's been a long month.
It's been a long season.
But it just helps. It just helps so much. It makes the basketball so much easier. You're not all of a sudden planning for, they're tall, man, just got the ball in the paint. We have to double because we don't have any other way to guard it. How many times have we seen Dallas do that over the past 2 weeks? A bunch.
Yeah.
They've had no other choice. They haven't had people tall enough to go guard the other player. Just being able to not worry about that in the game plan, to trust that. And yes, Brooklyn had nobody tall either. Certainly not anybody tall and broadly shouldered enough that, they needed attention as a post player on the inside, stuff like that. But it really does change just how this team approaches games, goes into games, and we saw it in the most comfortable win, the first 20-point game or 20-point lead Dallas has had
since February the 8th.
The last time Anthony Davis played.
That's right.
Who wants Kai Jones on the roster next season?
I mean, unfortunately, I don't think if the Mavericks big man rotation stays as it's currently constructed, I mean, he'd be the odd man out in my book.
Yeah, but I don't think it is. I asked this question.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't know, but
you said that real confident. That was real confident right there.
All right. Has Nico Harrison given y'all any indication that you don't think like an Aiden move is going to happen this summer?
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Right.
But if they're going to play with this whole idea with AD at the 4, with 2 big men, especially with Derek Lively being the primary one, you may have some room to move off of Gafford. But, I mean, to have 3 of those dudes, you would have an advantage,
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, my point really was that just all 3 of the 2 ways have shown that they merit a standard NBA contract.
Sure.
Many of them are better than the people ahead of them on the depth chart right now.
And
Stein, I'm not asking for reported intel here. I'm asking, from your perspective, being around the league this long, if you were hypothetically the agent of any two-way guys, any of these 3 two-ways guys, do you think they have any leverage at all to not just sign, some sort of minimum contract? If Dallas were to offer a minimum contract to 1 or perhaps even 2 of them, if you're their agents, do you think they have any leverage, or are they pretty...
I think you have to take it. And the thing is, what teams want to do in these situations is sign the player to a multi-year deal so they become tradable in the offseason. That just is what we see all over the league more and more often. So
maybe team option, maybe partially guaranteed.
Right. And that's not a fully guaranteed second year, but just a deal that becomes now you can put it into trade. So look, we've talked about it a lot, but on April 10th, that's when the Mavs have finally some financial flexibility to make a roster move. They have 1 open roster spot as we speak. But if they wait till April 12th and decided to create another open roster spot, which there are pathways to do it, they will have the ability in those last 2 days of the season to convert 2 of the 3 two-ways to standard deals. And so because of what Super Kev just said, because they are so deep at center, you would imagine that Brandon Williams and Kessler Edwards have the advantage there in terms of being in position to see their two-ways turned into a standard NBA deal. All I'm saying is Kai Jones had never scored 12 points in an NBA game before he became a Maverick, and he's doing it for fun every night as a Maverick. So
playing without Kyrie.
Yeah. He's played well. I mean, again, it's about 27th on the list of importance right now in terms of the broad Mavericks picture. But it's just interesting that, with all these injuries and so much of the focus has been on who they don't have, they are teeming with two-way depth.
See, I almost kind of disagree that it's not important right now. I mean, there are obviously more existential questions, but like so often, all the wins on the margins matter a whole lot, you know. And unfortunately, like the Mavs are in many ways paying the price right now for losses on the margin. How nice would it be if they didn't have JaVale McGee's $1.5 million or $2 million counting against the hard cap right now? Like they could sign these guys today.
Yep.
Or if they wouldn't have made that weird trade for Caleb Martin where all of a sudden they're out of money, or if they would have not added a year to Jalen Brunson's rookie deal. Like all of these little tiny things add up in huge ways, and you could pay the price down the line. And if the Mavs really do want to stay below the first apron to maximize their flexibility, let alone the second apron, then like getting Brandon Williams, Kessler Edwards, and Kai Jones on minimum or near minimum deals would be a huge, huge way to help do that, as opposed to, you know, paying Omax almost double what you would pay Edwards, or paying Dwight more than double what you would pay Kai Jones, or
signing Jaden Hardy to an extension.
Yeah, to where he'd be getting triple what you'd be paying Brandon Williams.
Okay, let's just say Jaden Hardy's extension is so modest, and that is such a tradable contract.
Yeah, and like, I think they'll be working.
There are zero issues with that.
Yeah.
But
one would hope.
And also, you know, we should state the obvious. These 3 two-way players have been so much better than what they were signed to do. They've been asked so much more than what they were signed for. And all 3 obviously still have some questions. You know, these are guys who have provided flashes. They have provided, you know, reasons to believe in their futures in the league, possibly as like full-time rotation players. Maybe not right now, but at some point in the future. With Brandon Williams, certainly still questions. With Kessler Edwards, I think there's less questions about him, but there's clearly a ceiling on what type of player he can be. Kai Jones, still a lot of questions about him, even though he's been very good and every time that he's gone out there for Dallas. And so, you know, do you want any 3 of these players in a playoff series rotation? Right now, no. Ever? Possibly not either. But what they have done should not be discounted, and for Dallas to go find 3 guys, because we've seen two-way guys come through here. We've seen a lot of two-way guys come through here. And I think it's safe to say I'm probably missing like one notable example. But these are probably the 3 most impressive two-way players we have seen in the entire history of the two-way contract in Dallas.
What's interesting is, you know, the NBA stole the two-way idea from hockey. And as I look upstairs and see I see our Stars colleagues upstairs, I see the very imposing figure of Craig Ludwig in my sightline as we're doing this show. I wonder, on the Stars show, do they have extensive discussions about two-way deals?
Well, honestly, the Stars minor league system is so good that all of their young dudes that come up are really good. I mean, their issue for a long time is like, how do they get playing time for Stankoven? How do they get playing and then they traded him. How do they get playing time for Maverick Bork? You know, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do with Lee and Bischel?
These cannot be real names. You're just saying.
Logan Stankoven, Liam Bischel.
Do y'all hear yourself?
Maverick Bork.
I need you,
Maverick Bork.
I'm gonna need you to put
you're trying to say that's a real.
First of all, put some respect on these stars.
Yeah,
or
that
are literally household names
and a well-built program.
Thank you. Like,
household names.
You're not gonna get away with
Liam Bischel's like 6'7", kicking ass out there.
You're not gonna get away with the disrespect of the Stars players.
I wasn't
right now.
disrespecting them. I said nobody.
You literally just said Maverick Bork is not a real name.
In fact, most
I
controversial.
I know, John. Don't worry about it. I got you. Don't
They
worry about it,
cannot
John.
be
Don't
real.
worry
The
about
other
it.
day, there was kind of a breakaway situation, and Bischel kind of made a mistake by going for a hit to absolutely lay someone on their ass. It was really cool. The other team still scored, but it was awesome.
We're gonna get you a roster sheet of them Stars players, and you got to study
I need you to
that.
study it up.
Yeah, because you're doing a lot of work right now.
They're gonna be playing until June. You got plenty of time.
Right. That's a parade.
I didn't say I wasn't rooting for them,
Hmm.
but I refuse
Don't sound like
to
you're a
believe.
ball knower when it comes to the Stars players' names, though. You need to work on that.
I just would suggest you guys, Dallas Stars, get some real people.
Again,
Stop creating names.
the disrespect
is.
Oh my gosh. Let's take our next break here while Tim goes and learns the Stars players' names. When we come back, the turning point of this game a little bit later on, we'll dial up to Stein with our national NBA insider, Mark Stein, who broke the news today of Anthony Davis's return for the Dallas Mavericks. All that more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
Rugged Road is the real name of one of our beloved ad partners, and Rugged Road is dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. Their products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions, whether you're on land or water, whether you're somewhere else, space. Rugged Road gear is built to accompany you on every adventure. Rugged Road did not put that in their ad copy, but I bet it would hold up in space if you're able to get one up there. One of the most unique features of Rugged Road coolers is their ability to always float upright. You never lose a drink. Unlike other heavy-duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light, making them easy to transport on any trip without compromising performance. Crafted to handle the toughest environments, their coolers are built to last, ensuring they can keep up with any adventure. Their coolers are guaranteed to keep their contents cool for up to 7 days, much longer than competitors. So gear for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used, Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use code DLLS for 10% off.
Like for AD tonight for the Mavericks, it's game time right here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. If you love going to concerts, sporting events, anything that you love going to, you got to use Game Time to get your tickets. Game Time picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals so you get great seats so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. I use Game Time to get my tickets to go to WrestleMania coming up April 19th and 20th at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada, where I get to see Cody Rhodes take on John Cena for the undisputed WWE Championship in a 2-night extravaganza. They got all in prices, so I knew exactly what I was going to pay before I checked out, and they've got panoramic seat views, so I knew exactly where I wanted to sit before I picked out my tickets as well. So if you want to take the guesswork out of buying your tickets, you got to do so with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Remember, terms apply. Again, create an account and use code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Mark Stein, what time is it?
Game time? How is there always a new wrestling event for you to attend? Every time you talk about Game Time, there's always another one.
Because pro wrestling is pretty much on like 5-6 days out of the week.
Are you know how we always talk about how even though you're 20 years older than me, you have seemingly watched I'm younger.
Oh, jeez,
my math is
Damn,
my math
Oh
is a
my
travesty.
gosh.
Even though you are
Wow.
20 years younger than me,
Mhm.
you have somehow watched every TV show that I grew up on.
I'm an old soul,
Are you
man.
familiar with World Championship Wrestling that originated from Dallas and the great Bill Mercer who passed away yesterday?
Rest in
Yes,
peace.
it was so sad to see Bill Mercer pass away. Yes, but the Sportatorium, the Von Erichs, of course. Like, yeah, come on, man. If you haven't, now the name of the movie. I was about to say the name of the movie, and then it escaped me. Just telling the story of the Von Erichs. Tremendous movie, though.
Can I tell you 2 quick Bill Mercer stories?
Please.
All right, so Bill Mercer, for those who don't know, literally a legend. Rest in peace. Passed away at 99 years old. Very involved at University of North Texas, but also later in his life became very involved at University of Texas at Dallas, which is my alma mater, UTD. Go Comets, whoosh. This would have been my junior year of college, or maybe it was my senior year. I don't remember, but I got to call a couple games for UTD. They were then Division III. They're about to be Division II now, or they might already be. But my first time ever calling a basketball game. How cool is that? I was the color analyst alongside Bill freaking Mercer. It was incredible. I got to call a college basketball game with Bill Mercer.
That's
it was
pretty dope.
unbelievable. And then the next
tape?
I don't believe so. I mean, maybe it exists somewhere. But then the next night or the night after that, I called a game with his granddaughter, Emma, who's also now a professional broadcaster. I believe she calls baseball. But so that's part one. First off, unbelievable experience. Bill Mercer, what a guy. Secondly, I won a college newspaper writing award for writing a feature about Bill Mercer. And I asked him one question for that feature. How did you get into broadcasting?
And he just filled it up.
He just filled it up. And I, a couple follow-ups, what was that about? Otherwise, that's it. Literally, I won an award for just telling the story of this dude's life. He was just an unbelievable man.
Yeah, see, I really, having not grown up here, I only knew the World Championship Wrestling part of it. I didn't know all of the, the depths to which he was just such a fixture of the Dallas landscape until, of course, I moved here and subsequently learned all that. But I was also going to say, Kevin Gray, do not look at Twitter because one of your favorite players just got hurt, I believe.
One of my favorite players just got hurt.
Leon Bishel?
Juju Watkins has been injured.
No, what happened?
I don't know. I'm just seeing a lot of tweets about it, and it does not sound great.
Oh, no, because the other day Juju turned her ankle and within the same play got back into the play and knocked down a corner three after turning her ankle. No, that's devastating because Juju is one of the stars of the NCAA tournament, men or women. So that's devastating. I'll have to find out what's going on there.
By the way, guys, so we usually do a run sheet for these episodes. I fixed the third segment. It's now called Bobby, KG, and Mark's Corner. As opposed to Cato's Corner. So
The
we're all
collective
good.
corner.
And you guys
How come the chat says this is the best Cato's Corner of the season? who posted that?
I just care about journalistic accuracy. That's all.
Well, we appreciate you. I wanted to shout out. We got some folks from Buenos Aires, Argentina, watching us live on the post-game show, and also Hola Mexico. We got folks from Mexico watching us as well. So shout out to all of you watching us literally worldwide on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. Nearly 300 of you watching live.
Your favorite guys.
That's right.
Feeding the corner to Cato.
That's right.
Claiming it back today.
Shout out to our DLLS Rangers crew as well. Jock Peterson just hit a 3-run home run for the Texans.
Dinger.
Okay, adding Rangers.
That's right.
Corner.
We're promoting everything here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show as the Rangers lead 6-3 in the seventh inning. Shout out to Jock Peterson. So good. The reason why I bring that up is good night so far in DFW sports. We got Anthony Davis's return to the Dallas Mavericks. Stars in action. Rangers going to have opening day next week or a little bit later on this week as we get ready for opening day. A lot of good stuff happening. But the reason why I bring that up is that Mavericks fans have been looking for some good juju. Speaking of juju, but looking for some good juju lately when it comes to just the vibes because it's been down quite a bit. And Mark, when you broke the news earlier today that Anthony Davis was going to be coming back, there was a lot of split reaction. Some folks who aren't necessarily fond of a win tonight, shout out to you. There's some folks who are extremely happy with a win tonight. But I think it just speaks to where the fan base is given how the season has gone. But at least for tonight, especially for those players in that locker room, Spencer Dinwiddie had been talking about, a hold down the fort mentality until Anthony Davis came back. And they feel like they did their job as best they could until they came back. And they were rewarded with not only Davis coming back, but getting a win on his return. I would imagine for those men in that locker room, it's a good night for them given what they have gone through throughout the course of the last 6 weeks.
Look, if we're looking at this purely from the perspective of the players on that team, the coaching staff, everyone who has had to go through this crazy month of March this was the first time the Mavs had 10 players available since the start of the month. I think it was March 3rd, which was the night that Kyrie had the, horrendously unfortunate ACL injury. That was the last time I believe that the Mavs had 10 players in uniform. They were so deep tonight by comparison that comparison to the rest of the month, they were able to delay Kessler Edwards' last game. As we know, Kessler Edwards can only play in one more game. That will be his 50th game this season that he either played in or was active in. So he only has one game left.
As we have the counter. They did not counter.
They held him out tonight. I'm told he is expected to play tomorrow against the Knicks, and that will be it. After that, he will not be eligible to play again for the Mavericks until we get to the April 10th, April 12th dance to see how the Mavericks actually play out the last few days of the regular season in terms of what they do with contracts. So, to have 10 players in uniform and be able to keep Kessler Edwards out of uniform, I was obviously not in Brooklyn, but Jake Fisher, who writes twice a week on my Substack, he was there tonight, and he relayed to me that this team, you can feel the giddiness and excitement among the traveling party. Again, this is not necessarily the view of Mavericks fans unanimously, and certainly we can see plenty of people in our chat tonight who are not feeling euphoric about this. But I think the traveling party was pretty geeked and psyched to see number 3 in uniform.
was talking to one person before the Pistons game on Friday, and one of the things, they relayed to me was that, if they felt like this team was healthy, they had spoken to someone from Houston, of course, the last time Anthony Davis had been on the floor, and what was a dominant effort from the Mavericks defensively. Someone they spoke to over with the Rockets is like, look, if the Mavericks were healthy, again, this is speaking to the impact of Anthony Davis on this team. They felt like if the Mavericks were healthy at this point in the year, they feel like they would have been considered right now the number 2 team in the West. Like, that is how good someone who is obviously, in this league feels about the Mavericks if they were at the point where Davis and Lively and Gafford and Irving were healthy. They feel like they would be right there just behind Oklahoma City.
Well, I can do you one better. We don't know who that person in the league was. I thought they were going to be the second best team in the West.
No. Yeah. No,
Tim
I'm not saying.
Cato.
I'm just saying. Like,
No.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to say,
I'm
agree.
reinforcing
I
your
agree.
point. Yes. Yeah.
Like, this was a really good team.
Yeah.
Now, I never would have done the Luka trade because literally the comments have been arguing about Luka and Anthony Davis the entire night. And very selfishly, if Luka had been out for 18 games and had just come back, we would probably have 2,000 viewers instead of 200. It has fractured the Mavs fan base. I think that's a bad thing. I think just for that reason alone, you should not have done the trade. But I thought the team was going to be really good, and I also have no problem with Anthony Davis coming back.
Yeah.
But that's why like what we're seeing in the comments and what has been, Mavs fans have been wounded so deeply and so frequently over the past 7 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't want to deal with any more heartbreak. And that's it. It's just like Anthony, put Anthony Davis in bubble wrap so nothing bad can happen to him because we can't bear to see anything else bad happen.
I think it's worse than that. I think it's just apathy. I think my impression of a lot of fans is
Apathy, really?
apathy, yeah. I mean, not people probably in the comments right now, but I think there's a lot of people who just saw that Anthony Davis was back, maybe checked in, maybe watched a little bit, but it wasn't a big event. And now some of that is the context of the season, of course. And your stance is that you would not have brought Anthony Davis back, right?
That is correct.
I just don't know how you tell him not to come back when he has been the face of this trade. He has been the face of mockery indirectly, but he's been the face of this all. Well, I'm rehashing a little bit of what has been said on and previous shows and pregame shows, but different audience here. And he's been the face of all this mockery. He has been, the person who got traded for the person in the trade that's been called the worst trade in sports history. Not once, but like
Hourly.
10,000 hourly.
Yeah.
That's a better way to measure it than whatever number I was about to invent. So I don't know how you tell him not to play. I don't know how, when you are careening, whether you like it or not, towards the number 10 seed, maybe even the number 9 seed in the Western Conference, which means you're going to be in the play-in tournament. I don't know how you tell this guy that you traded away a 5-time All-NBA guy, and you said, Anthony Davis, you give us a better chance. We believe that. And even though a bunch of injuries happen, you're still going to be in the playoffs, or you're still going to be in the play-ins for a chance to get it at the playoffs. And the other big crucial difference, 2 years ago, Dallas had a bad roster. They didn't have enough talent. What Nico Harrison is saying by making this trade is that Dallas is good enough right now. So why are you going hunting for draft picks if that's the mindset, the mentality, if that's everything that's projected about this?
I would like the chance to respond to that after the break, if we can.
Is it time for a break?
It is.
It is.
All right, we'll pick it up because I have a response as well. But
let's take our final break here on the DLS Mavs postgame show.
Good Cato's corner, I thought. That was good. That was good. Chat, agree with me? Tanner, let's put it in the chat. Was that the best Cato's corner of the season?
That's community corner.
Community corner. Tanner, let's ask the chat.
Can I just mention that it was one of my favorite too? I don't have to talk.
It's time for the break.
Actually,
No, you
talking.
can't.
I won't
It's
lie.
time for a break.
Well, you heard
Commercial
it.
corner.
I liked when Tanner was host. Bring back Tanner.
Stein, you want to produce?
Tanner is producer,
Oh,
host,
Tanner was our host today. For a while.
CEO.
Bobby's going to tell you how to become a diehard member right now.
You're damn right, KG. You can become a diehard. We just crossed 1,000 diehards yesterday. That is incredible.
Shout out to you.
Unbelievable to have such an incredible and still growing community here along with us, along on this ride with us here at DLLS Sports. And you can join the group. Scan that QR code, click the link in the description, go to alldls.com/diehard, where you can join our community. And when you do, you get a free shirt. We got more than 30 shirt designs. You get one for free right out of the gate. You also get a discount on any other gear you want to pick up. You get to join the DLS Diehard Discord server. It's a great place to be, really fun place to hang out. Good vibes in there all the time. Even when we're witnessing the sports horrors unfolding before us on most nights around here these days lately. You get to read the entire website, alldls.com, all that premium paywalled written good content from Tim on the Mavs beat. And we got a Stars, we got Cowboys, we got the Rangers, and maybe we got more teams just around the corner. There's only one way to find out. That's becoming a diehard. And you also get a discount on any events, including Tanner, the inaugural Lone Star Open, Friday, April 25th at Stevens Park Golf Course in Dallas. 9 a.m. shotgun start. It's a beautiful golf course. It's a really great opportunity. This tournament will be played in foursomes. You can sign up by yourself and be paired with people, or you can sign up as a group. We're also going to have some DLLS talent out there playing. I don't think any of us on stage, I'm not sure that we're golfers unless you are, Stein.
No.
But you can maybe hit some balls while we're making fun of you, or maybe play alongside some golf-loving personalities that you watch every day on the air. Link is on our website to join. If you're a diehard, you get a discount. Don't have to be a diehard to go, but you do save 20% if you are a diehard. And you get your physical diehard card. Thank you very much.
Oh, my gosh. Killer Cam says Juju Watkins tore her ACL.
Yeah.
That's confirmed?
I don't know if that would be confirmed. It just happened. I don't know. That might be a worst case.
We'll have to check on that. We do have, as we finish up here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show with the Mavericks getting the win tonight, Anthony Davis's return. Initial quotes coming from Anthony Davis post-game after tonight's game where he played 26 and a half minutes, had 12 points. Anthony Davis to the idea if he was going to come back or not. Quote, this is coming from Christian Clark of The Athletic. There was no doubt in my mind I was going to come back. Oh, thank you, Tanner.
Look at that.
Seeing these guys playing with 7 guys, guys playing 40 minutes, we just don't have enough bodies. Kessler Edwards is playing the 5. Naji is playing the 5. Added a little bit more motivation for me.
80's like, I don't want to watch this either. I got to get out there.
Hey, he's a man of the people.
Bodies are literally running out for the Mavericks. I mean, that's not a joke. That's kind of the situation that they're in. But to Tim's point, as we were discussing last segment about the differences between a couple of years ago and this year in terms of the Mavericks quote unquote protecting their top 10 pick, which they wound up trading down and drafting Derek Lively with the 12th overall pick. To this year, where currently, coming into today, according to the NBA Tankathon, they were holding the 12th pick right now, 13th, given their win tonight. I guess what I find funny, and it better be funny, the irony being that there is now some type of shame when they decided to sit Luka and Kyrie, in the final couple of games.
It's so different.
How?
Because it's way. It's what I said at the end. That team was bad. That roster was awful. They
and this
needed
team
talent.
isn't good either. The
circumstances were way different, though.
This team's injured.
Because they had to finish in the top 10 to keep their pick.
They had to finish the top to keep their pick. But you also have a chance to get into the top 10 if you decide not to pursue wins vigorously down the stretch.
Sure, yeah. I mean, but you would do that with climbing in the lottery in mind, which the difference between 13th and 10th to move up into the top 4 is from 4.8% to 13.9%. That is significant. The number 1 pick, though, is 1% to 3%. That is not really significant.
I think the highest they could get is
but
probably
moving up is significantly higher. I mean, 9% still. It's only a 1 in 7 chance at that point, best case, or 1 in 8. But 1 in 7. So I can't do math.
So with that, having a chance to be potentially in the top 10, maybe in the top 4, obviously going to number 1 is very difficult. The other part being, you're not in a position to win a championship this season, if you're going to artificially shorten the timeline in which they did to cut off what was a 10-year runway to now a 3 to 4 year one, you've lost one already this year. You've potentially lost already one next year as well. So if you're going to maximize the amount of opportunities to win a championship, for me, the prudent thing would be to do is to sit Anthony Davis for the rest of the year. Give yourself the best chance going into next year. Don't risk any injury now for the rest of the year and start with a clean slate and then go from there. And hopefully you get Kyrie back by this time or a little bit before next year, and then try to make your run as best as you can for next year's postseason to maximize that window. I guess I just don't see the benefit in bringing him back for games to try to make a play-in when that is not even the aspirations that this team is looking for, knowing that they're not going to win a championship without Kyrie Irving.
And look, I'm in agreement with you. That's how I would play it as well if it was up to me. Because this season is, I mean, even if all three of the starting, the frontline bigs come back, if Gafford and Lively come back as well, they're not making a deep playoff run with no elite guard play, and they're just not. And so I don't even buy that as the reason. I mean, look, piggybacking off what Tim was saying, one person close to the situation told me basically what Tim was saying, that like it wouldn't be fair to, if AD wants to play, if he's done the work, if he's right, it wouldn't be fair to him to not let him play. But sometimes organizations have to make that decision and take the proverbial bat out of the players' hands.
And this organization did that just 2 years ago.
And
with a healthy Luka and a healthy Kyrie Irving.
They're clearly not. I mean, another person told me today, AD feels really good. He's ready to do this. And, he's back now. And again, my sense, because even I feel it as, an impartial press row observer, and I'm apprehensive about seeing him back out there. And, just again, not because he's not ready. It's just, this has been an everything that could go wrong, has gone wrong run of epic proportions. And so it's
not even just necessarily the fear of him getting re-injured. That's always a possibility, no matter if he's playing now or if he's playing pickup games during the offseason, or it can happen during the first game of the regular season. That's not necessarily the injury for me. If I'm thinking about it from Nico Harris, if I'm trying to put my mind in Nico Harrison's brain and thinking about the window of championships that he's trying to win and the time that he's doing it in, putting Anthony Davis out here for games that won't lead to a championship sounds counterproductive. If you can potentially get yourself higher in the lottery to make that pick even that much more enticing to move this summer, if you're trying to make your team better in a win now situation, because the higher that pick goes, the more enticing it gets for someone to potentially trade for it.
I get that's the pragmatic, that the total war pragmatism. If you are just saying, how do you maximize the chance that the Dallas Mavericks win an NBA championship, that is probably the move you to make. But I just, like, if you were the one who had to tell Anthony Davis, no, you're sitting down, I know you really want to come back, and I know that you have been mocked online for weeks, and you've been reading all these comments, and you are healthy, and our doctors have cleared you. This was clearly a rehearsed PR line, because both Jason Kidd and Anthony Davis said it at some points in the postgame, or Jason Kidd said it pregame, Anthony Davis said it postgame.
No, the PR is actually working these days.
Apparently, the PR line was they are paid to play. Both people said it. Mm-hmm. And there is some truth to that. That is not always the case in the NBA. But again, I think the biggest difference is that the Mavericks as an organization, Nico Harrison, in his logic and reasoning for this trade, is claiming that this team doesn't need more talent, that this team is a championship team if it was healthy. Now, that logic starts to skew, obviously, when when Kyrie Irving now has an ACL injury, and that first round pick, wherever it falls this year, might be not just useful, but necessary to try to make up for the absence of Kyrie Irving for a majority, certainly more than half of next season, or almost certainly more than half of next season. But I don't know. I don't know how you could tell him that. Like, I don't know how you can justify that within the logic and in the logic of the culture that Nico Harrison is constructing. And I've made it clear a million times on this show. I don't think that logic is too useful or interesting or justified any of this. But within that logic that he made this move, I don't know how you can tell, like, I don't know how you can just like gamify this now. You know, the whole point is that, you know, everybody tries hard for the team and they work and, you know, they don't smoke cigars at golf courses. But, you know, like the logic is that you go play, you know, like that was supposed to be the logic.
If you want a vacation, he doesn't have a Southern accent. Why am I doing it?
So,
Don't do it with the Mavericks.
So what I'm saying is, like, even if you're going to do something that I'm
adamant about that.
Even if you're going to do something that I have made very clear I thought was wrong and dumb, it is a further fallacy and it's a further hypocrisy. If Anthony Davis wants to play and you're like, well, we got to play the numbers game now.
Well, I guess to that point, that's why Harrison has put me in a position to think that way with his own words. His own words said, I'm in a 3 to 4 year championship window. Part of that window was smoked when Kyrie blew out his ACL. Now you have a player who has dealt with an injury that he probably shouldn't have came back from the day that he did, and he has missed 6 weeks and 18 games, and you're in a position where your team is not healthy enough to make the kind of run to make a championship. And Bobby, you mentioned it, you know, kind of when we were talking about this a little bit, like when you start viewing it through the rings culture portion of this, that is what Harrison is on right now in terms of how he wants to view this team in the window that he's created by getting rid of the one that he potentially had. So I guess I'm just trying to enter his mind and thinking, what's the best way for him to get the outcome that he's looking for? And the best outcome to do that is shutting guys down, especially when he's done it before. Granted, you could say the circumstances were slightly different in terms of protecting a pick versus trying to, quote unquote, earn one by getting into the top 10. I guess it's more for me a semantics game versus anything
just
else.
super quick. Yeah, I just want to make clear. All I'm trying to do is hold them to their own logic. And I think not bringing him back at this point would be more hypocrisy that we have already seen.
Can you do the DeMont accent again?
Shaq, Kobe, Bird,
What the hell?
Magic.
Is that even his?
Clip it, Tanner.
I don't know.
Man,
I haven't listened to that many times. When we made it to the championship game.
that's not. That's like a bad Dirk.
That's not even German.
That's not
That's
even
not
close.
even German.
That's gonna be one of my favorite lines all season long. The championship games.
The
championship games.
It's me. The sportsman.
That's
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The circumstances of 2 years ago were so different. I don't think that we should compare those. But we'll see if it's second to last game of the year and a strategic loss might do them some good. We'll see what they do.
And I messed up his quote. I'm unwavering on this.
Unwavering on this.
Unwavering on this.
That's right.
Yeah, but in the meantime, players play, man. Players play. That's what they want to do. I think this team needs a spiritual lift. Mark, you already said that they got one. Just the fact that he's playing makes everybody feel good.
Mm-hmm.
The last 2 months have probably been the worst, most awkward months of these guys' careers to a man, from player to trainer to coach to GM to everybody. And, you know, maybe feeling good is good enough. Maybe being good is good enough. I think this team with AD is good. I think the team with AD and Kyrie is potentially great. But this team with AD is good. Unfortunately, it's extremely likely that if they even make the playoffs, they would be playing OKC. But hey, you know, they want to try and get there. They want to give it a whirl. Let's see what they got. You know, that's what they're going to do. So I'm just along for the ride.
That'll do it for us here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show as the Mavericks get it done 120-101 over the Brooklyn Nets to snap their 3-game road losing streak. As Anthony Davis makes his return after missing the last 6 weeks with that adductor strain, 26.5 minutes, 12 points, lifting the Mavericks to a road win over Brooklyn. We will be back tomorrow. We're on the first night of a back-to-back ourselves. Tomorrow, the Mavericks are back on the floor as they take on Karl Anthony Towns and the New York Knicks at 6:30 p.m. Our pregame show will begin at 6 p.m.
Brunson.
With no Jalen Brunson. That's right. No Jalen Brunson.
He's ducking AD. He's
right.
ducking Kessler Edwards.
Kessler Edwards' final game will be tomorrow with the Mavericks. Anthony Davis will be out tomorrow for the Dallas Mavericks. For
Unwavering.
For folks who are wondering.
No vacations here.
That's right. So make sure you join us tomorrow at 6 p.m. right here for the DLLS Mavs pregame show. Appreciate our guy Tanner making us look good and sound good. Pregame, watch along, and postgame show, and a little bit of hosting as well.
We got one more slice of pizza for you, Tanner.
That's right, just for you. That's our national NBA insider, Mark Stein. You can always dial up the Stein line at the Stein line. That is our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Krella. That is our Mavs beat writer, Tim Cato. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 6 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports. Y'all be good. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.